Hi, I'm Chris from Airwindows, and hey, you can do this. Because this time, it is Airwindows YNotHighpass. And that is a follow-up to last week's plugin, which was, of course, YNotLowpass. Again, this is the kind of thing that I'm doing in order to sort of buy time while I work on the upcoming version of console, which hopefully will be a pretty big deal, but by virtue of the fact that it's a pretty big deal, it's kind of stressful. I'm trying to get it right. And that's sometimes challenging, figuring out how to get something like that working. There's a lot of decisions I have to make around it. So what we're doing is we're putting out this new Y plugin, and YNotHighpass, as we can hear with this or with a previous recording. This is that's a pretty aggressive sounding thing. The Y plugins are made with this weird distortion of a biquad filter. You've got the resonate control, which is the Q factors, the resonance of the filter. But then this thing called ResEdge grits it up and makes it kind of strange and weird. It's more easily heard on the low pass, but we're throwing in the high pass just because that's one of the things that's included with this package. And I don't know whether this is going to be your jam as far as filters are concerned. I demonstrated it before with a lot of resonance. And maybe this kind of sound will be helpful for you. Or maybe not, but I mean, this is yours now. The reason the YNot filters are called not is because they do not have control smoothing. The Y filters were originally designed to work out the details on control smoothing so that I could have the reissue of the Z filters, which are designed to be like a certain classic sampler, not having zipper noise and stuff. And then I was asked for the zipper noise version of the Y filters because they have that raunchy edge to them that was already kind of artificial, and people just wanted more variations on that. So what else has been going on around here? You might or might not be able to see that I'm doing a bunch of revisions on the modular synthesizers. That's for a number of reasons, but one of them is that in order to put the eventual console MC and following consoles into action, I need to be able to demonstrate them using sounds off of a real studio, sounds off of real instruments and so on. I'm trying to figure out whether I need to attempt an AC/DC sounding thing and use upcoming console MC to make it sound like Back in Black. That would, of course, require that I be able to play guitar like Malcolm Young, and that's a big ask. But the idea is that I should be able to demo some of this stuff, and that's always the challenging part. So that's part of being able to put out the video, being able to put out the plugin, as well as finalizing the builds and getting them into service. So I've kind of got my head down these days. I'm working at this stuff, and it's pretty intense, but it's not the end, because it's like once I have console MC out there, there is something that might be coming up pretty soon, maybe even next week if people would like. I think I have a algorithm that's based off of what I was doing with, say, Creature, where I can probably get the next version of 2Tape to have a working bias control that acts and feels and functions like the bias control would on a real tape machine. That seems to be what I'm looking at, so that's probably going to come out as its own little processing tool. And once I've got that out, then of course it's a question of revisiting the next version of 2Tape. And there's a number of things I could do around that. And then there are other things like people are constantly asking for something along the lines of a cassette emulation. Fair, I hear you. And that would be involving probably a much more aggressive wobble filter. There's a lot to do. It's going to be an interesting fall getting into all of this stuff. All I can do is kind of go after it one thing at a time. And thankfully I've got my most recent load of firewood in and stacked for the winter. One of the things about being Chris from Airwindows is that I got to sweep my own floors, or well, not, or stack my own firewood and all of that kind of stuff. And that's just part of it. I don't have a giant billion-dollar company town in China to build things for me or anything of that nature. Everything that comes out of here, I got to do myself. And everything that I get, speaking of which, everything that I get, I either get myself and pay for myself, or sometimes build, or both. And so one of the things I could be excited about is stuff like this, which is my most recent discovery as far as MIDI controllers are concerned, Music Thing Modular. And they're not paying me because I'm not big enough for anybody to pay me. Maybe at some point that'll change. But I've been following what Tom Whitwell does for some time. And I've got a bunch of Turing machine modules that I built. And the primary oscillators I have on the system back here are also Music Thing Modular. They are the radio music / chord organ modules. And sadly, you can't get those anymore because you can't get the teensies they're based on anymore. That's one of the funny things about all of this is you try to do stuff and then you find that the things that you're doing can't be used because they don't exist. Or you can't get them anymore because people are not making CPUs on that size micron process anymore. They can't be made, and so that's all there is. So now I have some apparently valuable oscillators, even though they started out just as radio music, because now you can't get radio music. And Tom Whitwell's most recent thing is this, I think it's N8 MIDI controller. It's a little kit that you make. And you just get these 2 circuit boards and a batch of faders. I bought extra colors for the fader caps because the way this goes is it's going to be, the top one is going to be a shifting of bits gain trim for the overall thing, just to get things in the rough zone in a completely lossless way. Then the top is a high frequency control. It's a treble control. And I'm getting that to sound pretty well like what I'm hearing off of the recordings of MCI consoles. These 2 green ones are mid-range boost with a frequency, and then up to about halfway, it's subtle, and then beyond halfway, it starts to get a really aggressive boost. Dark blue is a bass boost. I'm trying to dial that in so that it acts the way that I want it to. This is going to be just a reverb send on my Reaper thing. This is going to be shifting of bits pan, and I've got this built into what I'm working on, and it's currently working. I just have to test it more. And then the one in the very bottom in white is the fader. And I've got that set up as a little callback to the Z series plugins. Rather than being like what Purist Gain or Purist Fade are doing, that version of the one that's going into Console MC is going to be based on the control smoothing that I have coming out of the Z series plugins. So it should smooth off zipper noise and yet still be capable of doing like sharp motions. And I got to fool with it a little bit, see if it's working properly for me. But these are the things I'm working on, and I can get excited when I've got stuff like a control surface to play with. Although honestly, you could just get like, what's the name of that chord mix thing? There's control surfaces that you can get that are just like $70 or whatever. This was more like 110 or something like that, and got shipped from England, and then I had to put it together. So you have to have a soldering iron for these. On the other hand, with these, it actually sends MIDI controls based on whether it's tilting some way or another, so that you could make a mix or a synthesizer tone that you fly as if it is a... Anyway, I'll get back to work. All right. And I'll talk to you later. And I hope you like YNotHighpass. Granted, it's not significantly different. I mean, it's different, but then it's not from YHighpass, which you've already got. And it's just another extension on what I was doing with YNotLowpass, and there'll be more like that. And yeah, sometimes I just want to buy a little time and get my head down and really work on some of this stuff, because it's a lot to do, and I have to really focus sometimes in order to get where I want with it. But I feel like that's it's coming into the zone. I will see. And I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.